Baby doll is a young girl who has just lost her mother and is now at the mercy of her stepfather, who opens a cruel smile while she tries to comfort her younger sister. However, the grace ends when the will states that all the inheritance goes to the two orphans. He decides to get rid of them to keep the money, but Baby doll fights back and ends up locked in a room. She panics upon seeing that her sister is in danger and risks a getaway through the window. Her stepfather is opening the closet door where the younger one is hiding when Baby doll arrives with a gun. Unfortunately, she accidentally shoots her own sister, giving her stepfather everything he wanted. His younger stepdaughter does not survive, and the older one is committed to Lennox House, an institution for detainees needing psychiatric care. She is received by Jones, a corrupt nurse who uses a key hanging around his neck. He takes her to the main hall, where Dr. Gorski is attending to other patients. Speaking with her stepfather, Jones accepts a sum of money to forge the doctor's signature on a lobotomy request. The doctor responsible for the procedure will come to Lennox in 5 days, and Jones promises that this will eliminate any risk, as her mind will be in paradise. While the two negotiate her fate, Baby doll observes the depressing place that is her new home. The patient being attended is also a very young girl. Dr. Gorski is saying that she can control her inner world and make it more real than her suffering. Seeking solace in these words, Baby doll begins her new life. She tries to get used to her daily tasks in that horrible place, where all the details seem bleak, from the institution's map on the wall to the sounds of the cook's knife and the decorated lighter of one of the guards. 5 days later, the time for the lobotomy comes. Baby doll is strapped to a chair from which she will not emerge the same person. She closes her eyes, trying to prepare for goodbye to conscious life. But when the doctor is about to start, a firm voice demands that he stop immediately. At that moment, we enter the fantasy world where Baby doll's mind has taken refuge over the last few days. The other person sitting in the chair is the young patient named Sweet Pea. The lobotomy is just one of the scenes in her show at Jones's cabaret. Madame Gorski is the dance instructor, and the stepfather appears as a heartless priest who came to sell Baby doll as a dancer. Jones tells Sweet Pea that the girl will be a gift to a VIP client they all call High Roller. The troupe has 5 days to prepare her before his visit. Impatient with the novice, Sweet Pea delegates the task to her sister, Rocket. She shows Baby doll the rooms and explains that the shows are just a front for Jones's illegal business. Most of the girl's work is to please important clients, but she says everyone also needs to help in the kitchen and the novices start with cleaning. She also shows the cleaning closet where girls are locked when they disobey. Meanwhile, Sweet Pea is in dance class with her friends. A girl named Blondie is badmouthing Baby doll, saying she looks like a goody two-shoes. Amber says she feels sorry for her, but Sweet Pea advises not to get too attached to her, as Jones has promised her to the High Roller. At night, Jones and Gorski open the show while the dancers finish getting ready, and they take the stage one by one, in a series of elaborate performances. The clients go wild and rush to the booth at each intermission to book a room, also choosing which dancer will occupy it. While the girls strive to catch the attention of the best clients, Baby doll accumulates the functions of a cleaner and chambermaid. After the show, Rocket hears her friend crying softly and decides to keep her company. The next day, the cook catches Rocket trying to steal chocolate and starts attacking her. Baby doll is scrubbing the hallway floor when she hears the fight. Seeing her only friend under that weight, she does not hesitate and threatens the cook with one of his own knives. Forced to get off the girl, he says it was nothing and they were just having fun. The two run away and Rocket tries to compose herself before the rehearsal. They arrive just as Madame Gorski is complaining about Sweet Pea's lack of focus. She calls Baby doll next, but the girl is too shy to dance in front of everyone. Stopping the music, Gorski steps closer to whisper words of encouragement, explaining that this is just the beginning of the fight for survival, as those who do not dance have no place there. Then she tries again, and Jones is almost leaving when he looks back and changes his mind. Everyone is watching the performance with a look of surprise, unaware that Baby doll's mind is no longer in that room. She is transported to a Japanese temple, where a wise man says he can help her regain her freedom. He gives her a sword, among other weapons, and begins to explain the journey she will have ahead. Baby doll needs to gather 5 specific items before the High Roller comes to see her. The first 4 are a map, something to produce fire, a knife, and a key. The 5th item she will have to discover on her own, but the wise man warns that it will be both a sacrifice and a victory. In the temple courtyard, 3 fierce warriors await her, and the wise man merely suggests that she defend herself. The first one lands a kick that throws the girl far, breaking down the temple doors. She hardly has time to get up when he is already charging again. Even when his blows do not hit her, his strength is such that the ground trembles, violently shaking her as well. Gradually, she begins to learn the handling of the sword, as well as the art of dodging danger with mastery. This progress enrages the warrior, especially when she manages to hit him, opening a gash of light in his leg. The next is a direct shot to the neck, but as soon as he falls to the ground, a projectile grazes Babydol's head. The second warrior is ready for combat, and his methods are a bit more modern. Running from the endless barrage of bullets, she throws the sword at the brute. The damage is superficial, but the distraction is enough for her to draw her weapon. With an amazing leap to the giant's chest, Babydoll pulls the trigger and destroys the warrior. As the temple begins to collapse, she walks with steady steps toward the third and final warrior. He runs at her with his sword, but she defeats him with a single blow. Her mind then returns to the dance room, where everyone is applauding her talent. That night, she shares with her colleagues the dream of escaping the cabaret. Sweet Pea mocks her naivety and asks her to send news from paradise when she arrives there. However, Rocket and Amber begin to ask very concrete questions about the escape plan. Irritated with her sister, Sweet Pea reminds her that no one has ever managed to escape from there, and Blondie adds that the last 3 did not survive the attempt. In the dressing room, the 2 sisters continue arguing about the possible escape. Sweet Pea does not like the idea of taking risks when they have both achieved a nearly stable position at the cabaret. But then, Rocket tells the girls what happened in the kitchen and how Babydoll's courage saved her. Then Sweet Pea agrees to listen to the plan, and the girls decide to work together to gather the necessary items. Without mentioning the wise man or her trance state, Babydoll explains the need for each item to escape, reminding that there are only 3 days left until the high roller arrives. Sweet Pea says the plan is too risky, but her sister says there is not much to lose, and the other 2 are also ready to embark on the adventure. Then she ends up agreeing to help on one condition: if something goes wrong and she decides it's time to stop, everyone must obey. The building map is behind Jones's desk, and it looks very much like the Lennox house map in the real world. When it's time for Babydoll to dance again, Sweet Pea warns Jones, knowing that he will not miss the show. As soon as he leaves the office, she sneaks inside. In the dance room, Babydoll goes through the same process of total surrender, and again her mind shifts into fantasy. This time, her friends are also present, and the setting is a world war that blends the past and the future. The wise man takes the role of general, explaining to the fighters that the mission's objective is to recover a stolen map before the messenger boards a zeppelin. To do this, they will need to cross the conflict area and invade the enemy trench. The general also warns that the Germans have discovered how to resurrect lost soldiers, and therefore there are also zombies on this long list of dangers. Amber has the honor of piloting a giant robot, equipped with the highest technology. She covers her friends while the group advances through the battlefield. Her robot even flies to shoot down enemy planes. Arriving at the trench, the girls fight bravely against zombie soldiers, taking every opportunity to pierce the steam pouches that keep them functioning. Babydoll is the first to enter the commander's room, who does not seem much more alive than his soldiers. Realizing what they have come to find, he is already rolling up the map and laughing at the audacity of these girls, when Babydoll resumes the fight. Her agility with the sword defeats all the soldiers, until only the commander and the messenger are left. When the roof collapses in the middle of the fight, the messenger takes the opportunity to escape and runs to the zeppelin, grabbing the ladder before Babydoll can stop him. With a sigh of impatience, she knocks out the commander and some soldiers to borrow a more powerful weapon. Shooting non-stop, she takes down the airship, which crashes in flames. The messenger is thrown into the explosion, landing just a few meters from her. He continues to defend the map, but Babydoll blocks his shots with the sword until he surrenders. When she finally manages to seize the map, the commander has already gotten up, and all the zombies are with him. So she throws the map up, and her friends arrive shortly after. They all cling to the robot before it takes off, and Babydoll catches the map in the air. Back at the cabaret, another spectacular dance comes to an end. Jones is so impressed that he decides to organize a special session for the mayor the next day. Madame Gorsky does not like the idea and says that the girl doesn't even have a costume yet. But Jones insists on reminding her that all the women in the cabaret are his property. After class, Rocket opens up to her friend and tells her a bit of her story. She ran away from home when she was very young, not knowing she would end up in a place like this. And the worst part is that Sweet Pea was happy with her family but did not want to be separated from her sister, which is why she ended up in the same life. Returning to the office, Jones accidentally leans against the copier and realizes it has been used just a few minutes ago. Examining the wall mural, he sees that one of the pins holding the map is loose. The next day, everyone already knows the mayor is coming. His habit of smoking cigars is well known, and the girls decide this is their chance to obtain something that produces fire. Sweet Pea tells Amber she should steal the decorated lighter he always carries. She chickens out at the idea, but the girls say it has to be her since the mayor is her client. Madame Gorsky improvises a costume for Baby Doll and gives her some advice about never giving up on her dreams. When the distinguished guest arrives, Amber immediately settles next to him, keeping an eye on the pocket where he stored the lighter. On stage, Gorsky makes a point to inform everyone that this is an experimental show, apologizing for the humble production. When she hands the spotlight to the dancer, the mayor's eyes widen, and Baby Doll again escapes into narrative delirium. The wise man is already explaining that the girls will invade a dragon's nest to steal 2 crystals that are in the throat of the hatchling. He says the crystals can be used to produce the most magnificent fire that ever existed. The wise man's final hint is to avoid waking the mother at all costs. Again, Amber is piloting, but this time it's a plane. Dropping to the ground, the girls use machine guns to face their first obstacle, which is a horde of barbarians. When the ammunition runs out, they draw their swords and continue to carve a path to the castle entrance. As they descend into the catacombs, Amber continues the fight in the air. 2 huge ogres are catapulted in her direction, and one of them grabs onto the aircraft, but the pilot shakes off the unwanted passenger with a few well-placed shots. Inside the castle, the dragon hatchling is sleeping on a pile of bones. Baby Doll approaches slowly and then pulls the head firmly, passing the sword through the scaly neck. With Rocket's help, she retrieves the 2 crystals and then scrapes one against the other, producing a very peculiar flame. At that moment, the mother awakens, spewing a cloud of much more familiar but equally deadly flames. Seeing what they have done to her offspring, she casts a furious look at the intruders. The girls run outside the castle as the dragon reaches the top of the tower, sweeping everything it sees with its fiery breath. When Amber notices she is being pursued, she squeezes through a narrow gap between the pillars, causing the dragon to collide with the structure. Blondie also continues to shoot at it, but none of this holds it back for long. With its mouth agape, the dragon bites the rear of the plane, tearing part of it before diving toward Baby Doll. She lures it to the castle's porch and escapes the jet of fire with a skillful leap. Landing on the creature's forehead, she drives the sword deep into its head. This concludes both the mission and the dance at the same time. The mayor is so entranced that he hasn't even crushed the ashes of his cigar all this time. As he reaches into his pocket to retrieve the lighter, the girls celebrate Amber's feat in the dressing room. Baby Doll hides the lighter at the bottom of a drawer, where the map is already concealed. The general joy begins to sour when Jones arrives asking what the laughter is about. Sweet Pea says they are celebrating the rookie's debut, but the boss does not buy it. He begins to speak in an interrogative tone, indicating his suspicions that the dancers are plotting something. He knows someone entered the office without permission, and shortly after, an important guest was robbed inside the establishment. Jones unloads all sorts of threats before leaving the dressing room, shaking the girl's confidence. Mentioning her initial condition, Sweet Pea says it's time to interrupt the plan. The only one who will get hurt with the High Roller's visit is the rookie, and it makes no sense to risk all the others to spare her. Rocket disagrees, arguing they have already made too much progress to give up now. Her sister feels hurt by the betrayal, after everything she went through to stay by her side. The next scene shows Blondie very shaken by the situation, and Madame Gorsky notices her agony. She hesitates to open up to her mentor, asking her to promise to keep it a secret. Gorsky agrees, but then the two realize they are not alone. In the kitchen, Rocket and Baby Doll discuss the plan's viability without Blondie and Sweet Pea's help. Then Rocket smiles upon seeing her sister arriving to fulfill her role. Sweet Pea assures them she hasn't come to help and just wants to prevent them from getting hurt even more. While Amber turns on the radio, the others lock the doors and clear the table for a surprise the cook will never forget. No one notices that the spilled water is spreading across the floor. Baby Doll begins to dance, and her mind transports her to an unknown planet, where the wise man is once again giving instructions. The team needs to disarm a bomb nicknamed Kitchen Knife. As nothing is very simple for them, the bomb is on a train that has been hijacked by cyborgs. After disarming them, they must use their jet boosters to escape. The wise man's last warning is that the bomb is set to detonate when the train arrives in the city. Amber pilots the helicopter that takes Baby Doll and the two sisters to the train. The cyborgs are already waiting for them when the doors open. The fight is intense, and the sisters unload their weapons on the robots while Baby Doll's sword slices them in half. After defeating them all, the trio approaches the bomb with a few minutes to spare. Sweet Pea quickly manages to deactivate it and then blows the roof off the carriage to facilitate their exit. Amber begins to hoist the bomb out of the train but says it seems to be stuck on something. Only then do they realize that half a cyborg has escaped. Sweet Pea finishes him off quickly, but not before he reactivates the bomb just seconds before reaching the city. For the first time, the two reality plans mix. Baby Doll looks at the bomb about to explode and sees the water on the kitchen floor hitting the radio wire. The rupture in the performance causes the cook to snap out of his trance, and he realizes Sweet Pea is trying to steal one of his knives. He immediately takes it back and tries to strike the thief, but Rocket jumps in front of her. Baby Doll closes her eyes and finds herself back on the unknown planet. 20 seconds from the explosion, Rocket discovers that her booster is faulty, and her sister decides to take her with hers. Knowing this could lead to both of their falls, Rocket pretends to agree, but then activates Sweet Pea's booster and steps away, sacrificing her own life to save her. What happens in the kitchen is not much different, and Rocket cannot resist. Completely insensitive to Sweet Pea's despair, Jones orders her locked in the cleaning closet and informs Amber that she will take her place on stage in a few minutes. The house begins to fill, and Jones is pleased to see the high roller at his table. Before the show, he gathers the dancers to listen to his speech in the dressing room. With a deeply offended air, he announces that he has discovered an unforgivable betrayal. A group of dancers is planning an escape and plotting against his success. Madame Gorski tries to soften the punishment, but he loses patience with her as well. Blondie begins to cry and beg forgiveness for having informed on her companions. She says Jones promised not to punish anyone. Of course, he does exactly the opposite. Under the incredulous stares of all the dancers, he executes not only Amber but also Blondie herself. Everyone then leaves to begin the show, and he is left alone with Baby Doll, confessing that he is jealous of the high roller. When he starts to grab her, she takes the knife from under the drawer and stabs him in the shoulder, using it to pull that key from his neck. With it, Baby Doll opens the closet and frees Sweet Pea, giving her the tragic news about Amber and Blondie. Only the two of them remain now, and they still lack the mysterious fifth item, which she has never mentioned to her friends. They use the lighter to set the cleaning closet on fire, creating a distraction, and then consult the map to guide their escape. Jones's key opens all the doors and the fire alarm is soon triggered. But when they finally cross the front door, a group of patrons is chatting in the parking lot, and they know they won't pass unnoticed. Baby Doll realizes that the fifth item is herself. This has never been her story, but Sweet Pea's. She instructs her friend to stay away from the roads and get on a bus as soon as she can. The patrons are stunned when she walks up to them with a determined look. Seeing her friends safely cross the gate, she lands a kick on the first unfortunate one in the group. The response comes in the form of a punch that knocks her out. Baby Doll awakens in a luxurious room, with the high roller waiting in an armchair. To her surprise, he is quite the gentleman and says he does not want to force her into anything against her will. Baby Doll even begins to like him, and his words are everything she wants to hear, as he promises to give her the long-desired freedom. Suddenly, we are back at Lennox's house and see that the high roller is actually the lobotomist. Unfortunately, this is the only freedom he can offer. After performing the procedure, he is intrigued by her gaze and says it was as if she encouraged him to continue. When Dr. Gorski arrives, she reports that in the last 5 days, Baby Doll assaulted a nurse, caused a fire, and helped a patient escape. Even so, Gorski says she disagrees with this type of drastic solution. Surprised to hear this, the doctor shows that the authorization was signed by her. He also says he has performed several other lobotomies and is beginning to have his own doubts about the procedure. The doctor is so shocked that she cannot even respond. As Baby Doll is taken away, we see that the cleaning closet has indeed been set ablaze and Jones has been wounded in the shoulder. The nurses do not want to participate in his cruelties anymore, but still obey when he orders them to leave him alone with the patient. Then he starts to kiss her and cries upon seeing her complete inertia, confused by the results of what he himself provoked. His hands are on her neck when the guards burst through the door. Gorski is with them and insists that Jones be punished for what he has done. When they ask Baby Doll if she is well, we see that she has an empty but serene expression. Meanwhile, Sweet Pea is about to get on the bus and go home when 2 guards start asking questions. Then the bus driver interrupts the conversation, and we see he is the wise man. He says that the girl was already on the bus and just got off to go to the bathroom. After the guards leave, she confesses that she didn't buy a ticket. The film ends with the wise man telling the young girl that it's no problem and suggesting she try to rest during the trip.